Just over 4 years ago, I donated a kidney to a complete stranger, and I thought it might be worth talking about in a video, so welcome. It all started in a very unexpected way. I was working outdoors, moving a garage from one place to another, just a sectional concrete garage. It was, I think, May or June, a lovely day, I remember it very clearly. And I was listening to the Jeremy Vine show on Radio 2, the lunchtime show. And normally I don't listen to Jeremy Vine because I think he's a complete dick. But he was talking about something called altruistic kidney donation. And it was something I'd never heard of. I knew that obviously you could donate a kidney when you're dead. I had heard stories of people donating kidneys to members of their family, but I never realised that you could donate a kidney to a complete stranger. And so that was what the Jeremy Vine show was talking about that day. And when the piece came to an end, I decided, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to donate a kidney to a stranger. So the first step was to get the wheels in motion. I managed to find who was what's called the transplant coordinator for my area, and that was in Preston. So I got in touch with them and said I want to donate a kidney to a stranger, and they said okay then. And that was the start of a very complex process, because you can't just announce that you want to do something like that and the next day you're on some operating table somewhere and they're hoiking one of your kidneys out. And so I had to go through an exhaustive series of tests to check my own health. Was I healthy enough to go through this process? To check the health of my kidneys. Were my kidneys functioning as they should? And also to check my psychological health. Did I actually know what was involved, and was I aware of what I was really doing? Was I being coerced, or was it completely voluntary? So the tests lasted for a number of months, and I hate that kind of thing. I hate needles, I hate injections, I hate giving blood samples, and I had to do all of that. But it wasn't too bad, because it was something I really wanted to do. I was motivated, incredibly motivated to do it. So I went through all the tests, and they discovered that yes, I was healthy enough, and that came as no surprise, because at the time I was in training for an incredibly arduous run. I decided to run the Morecambe Bay Cycleway in 3 days. The Morecambe Bay Cycleway, as the name suggests, runs all the way around Morecambe Bay in north of England, from Walney Island to Glasson Dock, and it's 81 miles, and as far as I could find out, nobody had ever done it as a run. So I thought, I'll do that, and I decided to do it in 3 days. So effectively it was 3 marathons in 3 days. Anybody who's run a marathon knows that that's a bit bonkers, because you run a marathon and the next day you can barely walk. But anyway, I was in training for that, and as a result of that I was supremely fit. I don't think I've ever been as fit in my life. So the physical tests were good, my health was good, and the next stage was to find out, okay, I've got 2 kidneys as far as I'm aware, how are they? And my kidney functions were good, both kidneys were good, because sometimes with 2 kidneys you get one kidney may perform significantly differently to another, and in my case one of the kidneys was doing 55% of the work and one was doing 45% of the work. So you need to know these things. And the final test was a very interesting conversation with a psychiatrist, and basically it was my job to show to them that I knew what I was about to do, and that was perfectly okay. And I think it was late November, I went down to the infirmary in Manchester for the operation. Now, the operation itself is a 3-hour operation, and there is a certain risk involved, even though the test proved that I was in good health. And obviously you're being operated on in a very controlled situation. It's not some kind of emergency operation after some horrific accident. There's still a risk, and there was a risk of death to me of 1 in 3,000, which I thought was, that's okay, that's acceptable. So went into Manchester, and I think it was the next day the operation was done. It took about 3 hours. Keyhole surgery. I woke up and it was all over, and then kind of post-operative recovery. So I was in Manchester recovering for about 5 days. It was okay. It was hard because, to start with, I was in a lot of pain, but I did have a little button that I could press to give myself another dose of painkiller, which was wonderful. So I was pressing that button like crazy. The food was good. I was well looked after. Bizarrely, one evening I had steak and kidney pie, would you believe? Yeah, the irony wasn't lost on me at the time. And the staff were great. And then I think I came out after about 5 days. Obviously bent over a bit, certain number of scars, because even with keyhole surgery, you know, they still have to put holes in you everywhere. They had to put a hole in my mid-abdomen to get the camera in to see what they were doing, a smaller hole to get the surgical instruments in, and then a scar, a vertical scar almost at my belt line where they got the kidney out. So a number of scars, so obviously those had to heal. So when I was up and about walking, first of all I was walking, you know, bent over, not at all comfortable. But anyway, that all went well. After about 5 days in hospital, my girlfriend at the time came to pick me up and drive me home, and it wasn't a particularly bumpy road. We were driving up the M6, but I felt every single bump. Wasn't good. But that's the price you pay. I knew what I was doing, and so there you go. Longer term recovery, it took a while, because when I went in for the operation, my fitness level was absolutely staggeringly good. As I say, the fittest I've ever been, and probably the fittest I ever will be. But I think that helped the recovery. It took a while though, and the scars were a pain. The vertical scar on the belt line was very uncomfortable. I had to wear some jogging bottoms for quite a few weeks till that healed up. The scar in the abdomen where they put that camera in, that took a long time to heal up. It was almost like they'd put a hole punch through, so that had to kind of regenerate new flesh and scab over and everything, but that was all fine. And I think after a month, 2, I can't remember, it seems like such a long time ago, after a month or 2, I tried my first jog. I did a very slow 5k when I was down seeing my daughter, and it was very, very hard. But I got better, continued to improve, looked after myself, and all fine. And now, 4 years later, just over 4 years, I wouldn't know that I didn't have a kidney, to be honest. There's absolutely no difference. I've got a few scars, which I think are badges of honour. My health is absolutely fine. One of the nice things about doing the kidney donation, you get a free checkup every year. So if I am ill with something that I'm not even aware of, there's a very good chance that'll be spotted, which is reassuring. And the other nice thing is that if you give a kidney, if you donate a kidney, then you on average live 10 years longer than the normal person. And it's not because I've given a kidney, but simply because my health was judged to be good enough to go through the process. So that's nice, because I do like the idea of living forever, or certainly as long as I can. And so I suppose the real question that I've tried to answer for myself is why. Because you may be listening, you may be watching this video thinking, I couldn't possibly do that. The guy's bonkers. Why? And I think there's two things going on for me. I think so. I could be wrong. The first thing is that about 5 years before I donated the kidney, I had a significant drink problem. I was drinking heavily every single day. And in fact, in the week before I gave up drinking completely and went completely cold turkey, I was drinking a bottle of whiskey a day. And if I hadn't have stopped, I'd be dead. No doubt about it. But I did stop. I managed to go completely cold turkey, never touched a drop since. Never wanted to. And I think in some way, donating a kidney was me trying to express gratitude for the fact that I'm still here. And not just that, but I'm still here in good health. I drank a lot and I seem to have got away with it. So I think it was partly as a way of saying thank you, you know, for the fact that I managed to give up the drinking. It didn't give me any long-term effects. So yeah, and I think the other thing was that it was a way of trying to do something positive. My dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in his mid-50s. I'm 58. He was dead at 66. And when somebody dies like that, it's awful for the people around them. It's awful. It was awful for him, goodness me. And you always get that guilt, that feeling of, I should have done more, I didn't do enough. Common problem. I'm not the only one to think that way. But I think donating a kidney was a way for me to kind of take control in a way and to do some good. Perhaps to improve somebody's life, perhaps to save somebody's life. But to take something positive out of something so incredibly negative, to make a difference. I couldn't help save my dad. I wish I could. And it's probably the saddest thing I've ever had to deal with. I couldn't do anything for him, but I could do something for somebody else. And so I think that's why I did it. Having donated the kidney, I never expected or even needed to know anything about the person that the kidney went to. I know sometimes you see these programs, particularly from America, where some recipient has a tearful reunion with the donor, and for me that was never important. It wasn't necessary. But a few months after the donation, very unexpectedly, I got a letter which I'd like to read. Dear kidney donor, I would like to thank you so much for deciding to become a living kidney donor. Your decision to do that has had a profound effect on the quality of my life and also that of my friends and family. I am no longer tied daily to a dialysis machine, which, although keeping me alive, provided a very restricted lifestyle. We are now free to enjoy again activities like walking and cycling, and to be able to have a holiday away. I am no longer tired or lacking in energy, and we are looking forward to planning some time away to enjoy simple pleasures together. The transplant is working well for me, and the transformation I feel is truly remarkable. I am no longer on a restricted diet and eating out and in. is now a real pleasure. My partner was unable to donate her kidney directly to me because although we had a good match, I had some antibodies that produced a positive cross-match, which meant that there was a high risk of rejection. She has, however, been able to donate to another person on the transplant waiting list. A living donation is such a generous, selfless act for anyone to do. To have an operation that is not needed, with all the risks that entails, takes real courage, as well as enduring the pain and discomfort of the operation and the necessary recovery time. My partner appreciates what you've done, having gone through the same procedure herself. So thank you again for your decision, and I trust you are making a good recovery now. I wish you well and very good health in the future. With best wishes, your kidney recipient. I've not read that for some time, and that's left me feeling quite emotional, to be honest. A good emotion, you know, it makes it real again. And sometimes you forget. I forget that I've donated a kidney. You see the scars, and sometimes you remember. But to reread the letter really brings it home. So that's the story. I hope you found it interesting. If it inspires you to do the same, great. But you don't have to. It's a big deal. Or it might be a big deal. For me, it was ridiculously easy. It was an easy decision. I found the process easy, the recovery easy. When I say easy, compared to what difference it's made to that person, the discomfort to me was nothing really compared to that. So, and however long I live and whatever I do, good or bad, I don't think I'll ever do anything as amazing as that, to be honest. It's without doubt the best thing I've ever done, without a doubt. How often do you get the chance to make such a difference to the life of one other person, you know? And in that sense, I feel very lucky to have done that, to have that opportunity. So thanks for watching, and any comments, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you. Stay well.